Good evening. Really big turnout tonight. Thank you all for joining us here for the first lecture of the semester. I'm Gary Hilderbrand. It's my great honor to serve as the Hornbeck Professor in Practice and the Chair of the Department of Landscape Architecture here at GSD. Please let me begin by acknowledging that the Harvard Graduate School of Design is located on the traditional and ancestral land of the Massachusetts, the original inhabitants of what is now known as Boston and Cambridge. We pay respect to the people of the Massachusetts tribe, past, present, and future, and honor the land itself, which remains sacred to the Massachusetts people. The school also recognizes the work of the Harvard University Native American program in cultivating the relationships that led to the creation of this acknowledgement. A quick reminder that we have live captioning available tonight for our virtual audience, which I understand is going to be large. So if you are here on the remote, click the closed captioning button at the bottom of the live stream window. I'd like also to invite you to join us for a couple of upcoming GSD public programs. This Thursday, 2 days from now, February 2nd at 6:30, join us as we welcome architect Young-Ho Chang in this lecture series, who will deliver a lecture entitled Form, Content, and Total Design. Also coming up in 2 weeks on Thursday, February 16th, we'll be joined by Kofi Boone, the Joseph D. Moore Distinguished Professor of Landscape Architecture and Environmental Planning at NC State University. Kofi, you all probably know, is one of the leading voices in defining and defending and reimagining Black American space in our cities. So please join us for that great event in 2 weeks' time. Let me, as usual, extend thanks to Kat and Paige and Matt Smith for the great work they do in hosting our public programs. So it's a very special honor to have Kotchakorn Voraakhom here tonight to share her current thinking about the very crucial work of climate adaptation. Kotch appears in so many venues, including those hosted by the United Nations and IFLA. We're grateful that she's teaching here again this semester with Niall Kirkwood and sharing her urgent wisdom on adaptation with us tonight in Piper Auditorium. Now, I'm going to hand the podium over to my distinguished colleague, Niall Kirkwood. Niall is Professor of Landscape Architecture and Technology and our Associate Dean for Academic Affairs at GSD. He has, along with Dean Sarah Whiting, our former Dean Mohsen Mostafavi, and our former department chair, Anita Versbeitia, helped bring forward some very special opportunities for shared experiences with our many friends in Thailand. So I've asked Niall to share his thoughts. He has read the culture of Thailand. He has wisdom to share too. And so I want him to talk about the eye-opening and provocative work of Kotch's firm, LANDPROCESS, and that of her NGO, Porous City Network. So I give you Niall Kirkwood. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm going to talk. There will be a take-home exam after this. I really do want to welcome back to the GSD Kotch, who is a landscape architect, an alumni of our MLA2 program, and a Thai who builds organizations and designs and implements public landscapes that tackle climate adaptation and social equity. The capital of Thailand, Bangkok, is an aquatic city, and it's also Kotch's home and design, cultural, ecological, and spiritual inspiration. And for its inhabitants, and especially those who grew up there, living with water is the vernacular way. residents originally had home on stilts, and the floating food markets that fed the population still persist today. Communities were used to living on water, and flooding and inundation meant defense from neighboring countries and food, particularly an abundance of fresh fish and productive rice fields. Sediment was part of seasonal change. Flooding was transformational and vital. The Chao Phraya River was and is the lifeblood of Bangkok and to Kotch's origins and evolution as a landscape architect. And it's not just because of its rich history. The river still flows in exaggerated loops through historic neighborhoods where traders settled to trade in cloth and gems and spices, and past Buddhist temples, gilded palaces, and humble teak bungalows teetering on the water's edge. Around 50,000 people still use the ferries to get around every day. Slow barges bearing cargo coast upstream. Kids frolic in the russet brown water. And as a landscape, it's a juxtaposition of the common, chaotic, modern, and traditional, the ugly and the sublime. Yet since the 2011 flood in the watershed of the Chao Phraya, submerging Bangkok and its hinterlands, this relationship has changed, possibly in a negative way. And this has been recently documented by the author Pechaya Sudanbat in his novel, the 2019 novel, Bangkok Waits to Rain. I really do hope that you get a chance to look at this book. In a set of short stories that fold into a novel about the lives of inhabitants of a building in Bangkok, he paints a twin portrait of a megacity of over 11 million that many call home, and of a world where the sanctuary is increasingly hard to come back. I'm just going to read a very short passage from it. And he writes, in the chapter called Deluge, appropriately, quote, as more of the water swelled into the city, supposed photos of crocodile sightings began to appear on the network feeds. A crocodile farm outside the city was said to be flooded, and escapees were leisurely swimming everywhere. Reports told of creatures darting out of the water to snatch abandoned pets and strays. Children were disappearing midstream in flooded streets, some swore. And the tale spread of a heroic woman who managed to wrestle her dropped cell phone from the jaws of one ferocious beast. The floods would recede, but not until 2 months later. The sea relented slightly. As officials reopened areas deemed safe for return, photos of damaged rooms became fashionable in the capital. Young and old posed in living rooms up to their knees in mud, or reaching out to point at a tea-colored wall to show where the flood had reached. They recovered family photos, now adorned with hypnotic swirls of blurred color. And when the news anchors declared districts were crocodile-free, they all cheered. To help save her hometown of Bangkok from the rising sea levels and still preserve its amphibian identity, following her time here at the GSD and practice in the US, Kotch returned home to found her landscape architecture design practice, LANDPROCESS, in 2011. And she also founded the Porous City Network, a social enterprise to solve environmental problems and increase resilience across Southeast Asia by aiding, engaging, and educating climate-vulnerable communities about productive landscape design. And with her landscape design office, she conceived and built the award-winning projects. They addressed the flooding and climate adaptation, the 2017 Chulalongkorn University Centennial Park, that I'm sure we'll see tonight, winning the SLA Professional Design Award in 2019 and the World Landscape Architecture Award of Excellence for built work, as well as the Thammasat University Roof Garden Farm completed in 2019, among others. For these, she was made a TED Fellow, an Echoing Green Climate Fellow, an Atlantic Fellow, lots of fellows, you know, an Asia Foundation Development Fellow, and chaired the Climate Change Working Group of the IFLA South Asia branch. And frankly, in 2019, she was featured in Time Magazine 100 Next List of Innovators and the 2050 Fight for the Earth issue of the magazine as one of the 15 key women globally leading the fight for climate adaptation. She won many awards from the United Nations and represented IFLA and ASLA at the UN Climate Summit COP27 in Egypt and COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland. But finally, one of Kotch's and LANDPROCESS's most recent projects, we return to where it all started, the Chao Phraya River, and to her Skybridge project that spans it. Amidst the pandemic in 2020, the Metropolitan Administration opened this remarkable project that I think you'll see tonight. Left abandoned for 40 years, this infrastructure project has now been remade as newest Bangkok landmark, the nation's first pedestrian bridge across the river. The new Chao Phraya Sky Park emulates the style of the next door historical memorial bridge, but in a modern form. The elevated section of the Sky Park, 280 meters long, straddles between traffic lanes on a bridge left over from an abandoned infrastructure project in the 1980s called the Lavalin SkyTrain. And Kotch's ambition, like many of our ambitions, is to make use of neglected spaces like this to show the possibilities for creating walkable, livable spaces. I stood on this bridge in the late afternoon of the 9th of January with Kotch just over 3 weeks ago. It was busy with pedestrians and couples sitting, taking selfies, families and groups of students eating, relaxing, enjoying the views up and down the river, high above the Chao Phraya. And I think of this landscape as a former rail bridge and deck, reshaped by the local Bangkok humidity, twisted and warped and down and pulled apart and then put together again. A kind of Thai-high line, but actually much more poetic and spatially innovative than the New York version. Pedestrians poised at its midpoint enjoy the views of the river that were once only available to kings and queens and princesses. Looking to one side to old Bangkok with its wooden trading houses and floating warehouse platforms, and to the other to modern Bangkok with its skyscraper hotels and entertainment centers. I look down to the movement of the constant Bangkok traffic, cars, vans, and the endless legions of motorbikes and scooters. And as evening fell, even further below, underneath the traffic, in the darkness, the lights could be seen of the passing slow barges bearing cargo, still moving upstream, and water taxis plying their trade way into the night, back and forth on the Chao Phraya. So please welcome back to the GSD to give a talk entitled LANDPROCESS, Global and Local Climate Adaptation Design, Kotchakorn Voraakhom, or simply as we know her, Kotch. Thank you.
Sawadee ka. Hi everyone. I'm so grateful to be back here. I've been to so many presentations, but this time I feel very nervous because these people are kind of like my people, and some of them who are my first boss, Mr. Alistair from Sasaki. Some of them see me since I was 22, starting my career as an intern at Sasaki. Oh my gosh, it has been a long journey. So I just feel that this is probably not a lecture, but let's say it's a sharing for me, and it's take like 16 years to put this presentation together. So land process is actually it's a motto of how I work, the land and the process itself. And it's also the name of the young group of people, 10 plus, like 12 us, working on this design. But we are so lucky that we located in Bangkok, because it's such a challenging city that every project is actually making us a better designer by learning from failure, learning from trying new things, and learning how to break the bureaucratic kind of world that we are living on. So I would like to Wi-Fi connected, bring them to the front row with me today as well. So I would like to share the first stop of my 6-year experience in 2021 at Glasgow in the COP26. It was right in the middle of the pandemic, and then the world just like, okay, we have to reconvene now. So it's quite a very weird, like everyone's scared from each other, and are we gonna, and it's the first reconvene of this global convention. So this is my experience, like, and this is the outside experience, which is mean that there's so much limited seat inside, and there's so much people who shouting, wanting for the world leaders to do better job. And I was lucky because I got one seat. And this is from my photo, like from my phone. So you can see how close these people can be tangible. And there are some seats for women, a few for Southeast Asia country, but there's only one seat for landscape architects. And I was surprised. And this is the opening remark from Sir David Attenborough. That is a very important talk from the beginning to call the world leader for action, and I want to share this with you.
A new industrial revolution powered by millions of sustainable innovations is essential and is indeed already beginning. We will all share in the benefits: affordable clean energy, healthy air, and enough food to sustain us all. Nature is a key ally. Wherever we restore the wild, it will recapture carbon and help us bring back balance to our planet. And as we work to build a better world, we must acknowledge no nation has completed its development, because no advanced nation is yet sustainable. All have a journey still to compete, so that all nations have a good standard of living and a modest footprint. We're going to have to learn together how to achieve this, ensuring none are left behind. We must use this opportunity to create a more equal world, and our motivation should not be fear, but hope.
Can we fix climate problem in one generation? My answer would be yes, we have to.
We need to not just to talk about what we can do, but to do what we can.
This is a challenge that we should try to solve in a quick way with a long-term vision.
It comes down to this: the people alive now are the generation to come, will look at this conference and consider one thing. Did that number stop rising and start to drop as a result of commitments made here? There's every reason to believe that the answer can be yes. If working apart, we are force powerful enough to destabilize our planet, surely working together, we are powerful enough to save it. In my lifetime, I've witnessed a terrible decline. In yours, you could and should witness a wonderful recovery. That desperate hope, ladies and gentlemen, delegates, excellency, is why the world is looking to you and why you are here. Thank you.
Yes, I was up here in this such a significant talk from Sir Attenborough to try to talk and convince all these world leaders to make change and to do it in action. The Thai landscape architect was a surprise, as anyone to be seen in front of the most powerful people. I was surprised as well that my interview was shown in that. And I don't even have a seat myself within that conference because it's only a nation per seat. I was lucky to be there because I was awarded as from the UNFCCC for the nature-based solution to increase urban adaptability. This is the first time that the landscape architects was actually asked to talk about what we can do for the climate change. And we must be surprised that actually many of them know an architect, urban design, but actually not a landscape architect. I'm also as representative for IFLA as a climate working group to represent 7,700 landscape architects around the world from 77 nations to declare with other professions, architects, AIA, ASHRA, and all these international organizations of profession to help the world not heating up to 1.5 through our profession. And this is my team. And I hope Pamela Conrad is here as well. Hi. Yes, so the COP opened the door to many people, but I think that that's not enough seat for us to be there because we know the solution. And people are just talking and only focusing on policy making. It's such a brief moment, but for me, it's a bright spotlight for us to continue. I'm actually from Bangkok, and this is my city. It's very flat. And we're actually living on the muddy river delta. This is who we are, and people may call us amphibious because we know how to live between wet and dry. We are very keen. When we call the season, we're not calling summer, spring, winter. We call it wet and dry. So the notion of how people create the landscape is really depends on water. And this is my experience as a child. With the flooding, it was fun. I have a chance to take out my boat, biggest toy I have, and actually explore. My house is like actually right in front of the main road. So the main road was just like being this lake. But this is my experience in 2011. This is completely different with the same notion of flooding. To understand the Delta City, you have to understand the whole watershed. This is what I'm talking to my colleagues, Professor Derek Hoffenlein at the WashU, who's also very interested in understanding the watershed as well. So Bangkok is actually located at the Yang Delta, and we are the last station from the whole watershed to go down to the ocean. And this is how we are in 2011. And you can see it's impossible to keep Bangkok from getting wet, but that's how we try. You can see from the map that Bangkok is not that blue because we don't want our city to get wet. So we try hard, and in every way that sometimes is actually do more harm than good. A city of 20 million people living, working, and commuting on the shifting river delta can no longer adapt to its water. Bangkok is a 3 hydrological city, as we call our city as the city of 3 water. The first one is the water from the north, which is the flood. The second one is rain. And of course, with the climate change, it's rain in the manner of uncertainty. And the last water is the sea level rise. With the sea level rise now, the tidal zone is actually not function. With the shrimp farm that you can see, it's actually destroy all the mangrove that protect our land. And this is the mark point of Bangkok where it used to be land. So every year we lose our land to the sea level rise. And there are so many ways, technique from engineering trying to protect, but it's actually, I would say, doing more harm than good. Bangkok used to be a very small city, but within 100 years, it's actually expanded to be a big concrete. And I would show that this is no longer a city of 3 water. We actually have the 4th water. The 4th water is water that's waiting to be drained. This is actually causing us trouble. With every 15 minutes of rainfall, 30 minutes, the whole city was shut down. And as Niall applied, that this is the urgency of the climate change. But we are very creative as amphibious living. We can adjust, adaptive is our nature. So don't worry, we will survive. But the problem is the urban infrastructure that's actually shaped us is actually harm us from being resilient. This is how creative we are from flood protection. Oh my God. This is doable in a personal level, but of course we also confronting with many other issues like PM 2.5, when all the neighbors is the burning crop season, which actually right now, and it's in between the changing of the winter to summer. So there's not enough wind to blow all this pollution. So my class, and Niall and Gary, please prepare your mask. The PM 2.5 version, not only just the COVID version. And definitely, this is the prediction of Bangkok in 2050. But this is the update version. And I'm sure there will be more update version, and the situation will get worse. We only produce carbon to the whole world. We only account for 0.8%. But we are the 8th most at-risk city when it's come to the extreme weather. I think we are at the point either adapt or we die.
during the high tide, for example, the sea level is already higher than Bangkok.
Bangkok has situated on the soft clay, and there are layer of clay and sand. We don't have any rock layer. Some area, especially Bangkapi area, has been sunk for 1 meter already.
We don't concern much about our natural waterways, which is canal. So that means we neglect about how the water will drain. This is part of the solution that can be replicated in other city or within the city, that we need more space, more place to hold the water. I think there's so much work to be done, and we need to act faster. We have to be very more action-oriented rather than just keep all this research of climate change with on the shelf. So the policy maker or the community have to come together. It's a good start, but it's definitely not enough.
Yes, so in 2012, we won the competition. It's the first park, and this is the project that not come very often because it's the first one, the first newest park in the central Bangkok for 30 years. Some of you might haven't been born yet. So for 20 million city, we just have one new park. So I'm lucky that I won the competition, but it took me 5 years to convince people, to convince the university that this is the right design, which is very tough because this is the first project when I went back home from the practice in the US and from the GSD. And you can see that it's quite a flat city, that this is the right downtown. So the land at that time was cost 700 million US, and people want to build more shopping mall because they want to make money out of the land. But with the university, with the intricity of being in the university, it's more easy to convince that we need to show ties that we can live with the future. And at that time, I wouldn't say climate change. 2012, how can I convince my audience with the climate change? They would not like, what are you talking about? We need a park, we need parking space, we need many other things, architectures and things. So at that time, I just keep the concept of the climate change to myself, but just trying to readjust. And I'm sure many of you who work in the public realm would understand. So I will skip this one. And this is how we adapt as a Thai with the swamp. We actually just pound out the land and make it productive for the food. And I'm just wondering, how can we understand that language of the landscape and build something as a solution in the city? Of course, I'm not going to do orchard, but it's just the technique and the wisdom of the agriculture land that we have to live with flood. So Bangkok is a very flat city, very simple, cut and fill, landscape architect. Many of us who outside this room will call nature-based solution, ecological, adaptive, whatever. But for us, it's landscape architecture all the way through. So yes, so we actually collect every drops of rains and equip that with architecture, green roof, wetland, and retention pond. Yes, and we're able to collect water in many parts and create this space as a social space. This is actually the landscape we supposed to see in Bangkok. But nowadays, this kid would have no idea which kind of plant that is, like the water plant. So it's such a good sanctuary for them to play. And during the high flood or high rain, the retention pond will double its size. And people can exercise and really understand that this park is designed to flood. This is the condition between wet and more wet. And this is how it works with the 6-hour rain in Bangkok. And you can see the incline of it is actually incorporated with the function of the people. This is actually the first incline park in Bangkok. So people are really excited about it. And this is how they use when it's not only about rain, but it's all about people as well. And I think this is such a powerful tool we have as a landscape architects. This is like all the details, how the water would be in every part. And this is how the tree grow during the COVID. You can see how quickly the tropical landscape can grow up with the rain. The park is not only just the park itself, but it's also including the road that connect. And it's actually the first road that eliminated the lands to become a rain garden in Thailand. I would say all this solution is very landscape architecture and nothing new about it. But in the context of Bangkok, developing country, I think it's a very different things. And I'm so glad that Mr. Antonio Guterres, the UN #1 climate man for the world, is actually came to visit the park and giving a big support to the local designer like mine. And the UN put this park as the case study for urban ecosystem-based adaptation, of course, which we call landscape architecture. Yes. And adaptive agriculture, with such very dense urban that changing with all this agriculture to the urban context, we know exactly how poisoned we are, how we eat this planet. And no matter how rich you are, which country you're from, pandemic has actually put us on the same ground. The food security is actually become a problem in my country that produce food so much, because with the poverty and with the pandemics that no one can access to many things. This is actually the similar problem that we all share. So this is the other project. After I finish the Centenary Park, I'm actually sneak out to convince another university that hello, should I have another park? They're just like Harvard and Yale of Thailand. And it's like, you better come with a better design. So this is Thammasat University, which is another prestige university in Thailand as well. And it's a long story, but they end up having another big budget to build the building. And I just, having worked closely with Asom Sin, who's an architect of this work, to come up with the solution of how the landscape can be the facade of the architecture. And I'm so grateful that working with the right architects, the landscape architecture can be the concept of the building itself. So it's the biggest one it's the single biggest urban farming in Asia. And this is where the wisdom coming from. Thinking about every space in the building of the urban setting area can actually slow down runoff, create food, using clean energy, and create public space. Perfect for a solution within one. And this is the student like you guys who have cell phones, drive car, but learn how to grow their own food. And you might question, the food is so cheap in Thailand, why you need this kind of infrastructure? This is not so much about the urban farming only, but it's also about the energy saving in the buildings, and it's also about public space, and it's also about food security, because Bangkok, Thailand is actually the top 5 client from Monsanto, from the US. And the food that we eat, and we sell to you is actually come from Monsanto product, from the pesticides and many things. So to teach young generation to grow food themselves is actually very empowering. And this cascading rice terraces is also slow down runoff 20 times. Let's say 5 minutes from the top to the bottom. It can help the city for 100 minutes to like holding, like a monkey sheet. Serious is a really serious concept from the previous king of Thailand. And I actually think that's a very good metaphor, how we metaphor things with nature, simple. This is the public space, and this is on the rooftop. And one thing that I'm doing a lot in urban farming is accessibility, right? I think it's a big problem for urban farming. So with this building, you can just walk up. No need to like go through the lift and security to go up to that like inaccessible part of the building. So this is the work, and I was so honored to be awarded from Architizer as a landscape architect, because they normally give this award to architects only. So this is, I'm honored to be a landscape architect there. And we are actually moving to the front part. We just got enough funding right now to work on this park, and hopefully in the future, I will complete the whole story of this building to the front park. Okay, next one, the adaptive waterways. This is the serious one. This is the canal in Thai, and we used to have around 3,000 plus canal, but nowadays we only have 1,500 canals left. So that means we neglected, abandoned it, the way that it used to be source of food, source of transportation. But now this is what's you will experience in Bangkok, sewage. The Department of Canal is under Department of Sewage. So what they think of canal is only sewage way, not about life, not about fish, not about leisure, but it's all about flooding and all about sewage. So this is right downtown Bangkok in the CBD areas. And this is how we treat our canal in the CBD, the most expensive land in the city. And this is how the canal was neglected. It's just like the body without the blood vein that is being cutting out, and you couldn't breathe. The landscape in Bangkok is just that way. So to begin the canal park, we actually won the invite competition with the Lumpini Park, which is like the central park of Bangkok. It's almost 100 years park. It's like the first park in the city, which given by the king. And it looks beautiful from the top, but it's actually the water that is rotten. It's polluted water in the park. And why is that? Because all the water used to connect, but now it's disconnect. It's not flow. So I'm actually convinced, not just not doing my work, but convince more work from the governor. This is the previous governor standing on the same canal that to survive that park, we need to fix this canal. And this is just recently opened in the beginning of this year. This is our plan. This is the first time I make Bangkok governor saying blue green infrastructure. I'm so proud. So this is the canal, and we picked the one in the CBD, but it's also connected to the Chao Phraya River, so we can have an input of the clean water as a network to feed that park. And the second one is Penjakiti, which is actually done by Kongen Yu, and it's beautiful. But those two parks with no canal, where is the water come from in the drought period? Any guess? Tap water, some of it, yes, but it's a huge park. It's like 360, right? I don't know how many acres. TA, help me with the acres. So it's actually many parks in Bangkok, and this is a secret, not anymore, soak down the underground water to use, and it's illegal, but we couldn't help. So at this park. So to stop that, we have to clean our canal. So clean that red thing to circulate with the river. And also the weapon of this canal, they have the water plant that produce the reused water, 140,000 cubic meters, and waste that into the river. Recirculate that into the system, so the canal have more input of the clean water and actually feed it into this park. This park was designed in the tree condition with like sufficient water to treat, helping the city. Is it too much? The water is too dirty? Go further, stop it, or contain more water when it's a wet period. So with that, it's actually like broken infrastructure to connect some canal for it to further. And we actually, yes, got a yes from the previous governor. Yes, from this canal into this project. You can say it's a Chongkechon of Bangkok. And it's kind of yes, but this is the real canal. Chongkechon is a little bit man-made. This is real. So we still have to think about the great infrastructure. It's not like very naive that we have to stop. But so we have to think a lot with the combined sewage system, and also fixing what the great infrastructure would destroy this canal for the human place. And great, it's become a place for people again. So it's the first canal. It's too bad, as the Venice of the East, this is your first canal for humans after this year. And yes, and it's very politics involved in this project. So we still have a long way to go to complete the whole canal, and we are in consideration with the new governor right now. And yes, the landscape architects would actually helping this infrastructure to make it the place for people. When the environment has been deprived from the social value, I think that's the problem that we turn back to our canal. So this is the canal network that I think Bangkok could not survive without fixing this problem. And this is another canal that we also convinced to do. And it's a historic canal called Padung Kung Kasem. So right after this canal is like the stopping last canal for man-made. The rest of it, we changed our way of planning into the road. Sorry, we hire American urban planning. We should hire Dutch, I'm sorry. So the rest of the city is looking like right now, and we stopped using canal. And this is how it's transformed from the canal. We create dams, we have the road. People still love to sit along this. This is the same canal, Padung Kung Kasem. This is the way it was before without dam. We still have this water-based development. But maybe some guy was falling, drunk, drinking, and the government say, okay, some government say, build. I'm sorry, we call it Chinese wall. Like, it's so long and it's so thick that it's like you cannot do anything. And this is what canal look like right now. And by doing that, this is on the other side. We got all these people coming, fill in, it's become no man's land. And this is a beautiful image, right? But you see, this is the homeless people hiding in those spaces. So it's a big mission to work on this, because this is how you understand breaking the silos means. In one section of this canal, we have to talk to this much department. I won't do this because this is not my role. I won't do this. I couldn't change this. You know, and no one wants to talk with each other. This is how we work as a city. And this is how I try to work them. Break the silo. And so it's like tons of meeting. I'm just put some of the picture, but we just keep meeting, talking with them. And eventually, we're able to break that wall and create a decent public space. It's very basic, nothing fancy about design, but just the process of making it happen. It just happened. Yes. So it's a great way to really show the possibility to our city that Bangkok could become a better place. And with the event, the people come to be close to the canal again. It's such a powerful moment as a designer and as a one person in the team to create this happen. And we see the movie, this is very Thai. It's called Nang Kang Pang, so we see it across the canal. Yes. And last 2 months, it's got an award from the UN Habitat for the Asian Townscape Award. Okay, adaptive with waste infrastructure. I think Niall has already described this project very well. I'm so scared to explain it over again. But this is the waste infrastructure 40 years ago. So they're gonna build this bridge, and they say, okay, let's build this structure because the SkyTrain will come. 40 years later, it's never happened. So we have this structure, it's called amputated bridge with no head and tail in Thai. It's duan, it's like no head, no tail. No one can go up there, no one can see it up there. It's just this floating platform. And no one even knows that it's there because it's been 40 years. So with the work of all this team, urban design, the architects, my very good friends, and with the mayor, the BMA, and all the departments come together. And with an honorable guest, oh my gosh, it's a Farang. It's a Farang Kunil, yes. Tourists, yes, exactly, on the bridge. And this bridge is next to the first bridge across Chao Phraya River. Is named under the founder of Bangkok. So it's a very historic area. So we want to respect the curb. So we use that curb to be part. And it's so narrow, it's only 8 meters. 8 meters, how many feet, TA? And it's the shortest section of the river. That's why they built the vehicle bridge. So we actually twisted to create this visibility, hiding the endpoint, because it's so short that, oh, if you're going to the straight, I'm just going to see the destination already. So this curve is actually helping us in many ways, and in the concept, in the perception, in the way of how people used it. And this is a perfect way to enter the waterfront. You might feel like, yeah, as a river city, city of water, we should have a lot of waterfront, but we have none, because our waterfront is either to the private property, 5-star hotel, where Niall and Gary will stay. And students, of course. But it's actually not for normal people like me, like normal landscape architects. We couldn't access the river because it's our property, our private property, or either informal settlement. So this is another way to help create equity and to kind of incline the focus on the feet, not the wheel. And you can see the 2 layers. And of course, we have to find this torrent plant with so much wind and so much sun with little of the soil because of the weight. And we designed this by meditating, which means we cannot go to the site because there's no entry to the site, right? It's amputated. And we couldn't cross because it's like traffic all the time. And so it's come out quite okay. And this is how we see the modern Bangkok and we see the old Bangkok within the one section of the river. And this is how they celebrate the New Year. And some astrology class was held in that bridge. And it's so simple because we have to be quick, and it's within this main road of the city. So we use GRC and finding to find this typology of design for it to be different. And this is during the sunset with a small concert on the Chao Phraya River, free of charge. No need to enter 5-star hotel to get to this view. So there are so many adaptive waste space. This is how we did with the government hospital. This is the only left space in the biggest hospital in Thailand. If you walk there, you get sick. It just looks so sick, like with the people, with the car parking space. But this is the only leftover space, so we turn it into the healing garden. And using with all this logic of therapeutic in cognition, emotion, working with the doctor to come up with all these programs. The aroma path, the urban farming in this healing setting, meditative walk, the art, and with the waste from the hospital as part of the design. And this is how these stressful people enjoyed it. And there's we don't have much space, I would tell you. So we have to steal from the architect or from the city. So this is another urban farming. This is the first one I did before I did the large one at the Thammasat University. So I've learned a lot how this thing should work. And with the below farmer market, it's worked out well. And this is the adaptive architecture from the rain harvesting and to the landscape solution. And this is another 2 ongoing project. I'll be quick. This is a government city. Like all the governor, all the nation is a nation level, national level. So this is the problem. They don't have enough parking. This always happen. And we try to come up with this concept, the walkable, the low carbon cities, and we're helping them. It's huge. So they say, okay, we only just gonna fix this problem by having parking building, and that's it. And we say, oh, wait a second. This is a new SkyTrain station that's coming. Maybe people will come to the public transportation more than just the space. And we need to link this linkage. The parking space only, the parking building only would not sufficient to solve this problem. So we try to help them with the existing parking building. And we say this rooftop have to turn to the welcoming plaza and adding on the parking space there to connect people from the public transportation. And we're helping architects. We actually design architect ourselves, but anyway. But we say, yeah, this is a landscape. You should put a hole there with the microclimates, and then the heat can go through this building. And how the architecture should concern about the rain harvesting in this climate. So with all these diagrams and the connecting to the skywalk, no one wants to convince this skywalk because we have to walk through the court, the Supreme Court department. And they are the hardest people to convince. Doctor, engineer, and lawyer, yes. And they're like, yeah, you cannot see to our building and this thing wouldn't happen. So we go through many meetings with the BTS, and now it's under construction. So here we go. Yes, welcoming plaza. So next time you come to the government to renew your passport or do whatever, it will be a very welcoming feeling than just inhuman kind of place right now. So this is how it's connect. Yes. Another building is actually next to my Chulalongkorn Centenary Park. And we won the competition with an architect, which I don't want it to be there, but we have to do it because it's huge and it's going to be a mixed use. So this is an architect, and we say, yeah, we can try this concept to connect this screen, but thinking Centenary Park in the vertical way. How we do that? So we put into the 5-section thinking it's like the design from the drop of rain and what landscape can be part of this architecture. So we create this, and for the curve, we actually using this public space to help drain the water and slow down the runoff with all this public space in the building. It's a lot, it's a huge building. And with the common space, we also think a lot of how that raindrop will come into this area and will slow down every piece of landscape to be part of the rain harvesting. And using every bit of the facade of architecture to help them think of how could development can help be part of how the rain would work with the buildings. And of course, the park part. So yeah, it's under construction right now, so hope it will be done in a year from now. Okay, this is fun part, adapt with people. And I will stop here. Why adapt with people is so important, adaptive with people, because there's no land process without people process. And I used to work in the US, and I've been put into work in Las Vegas. And I'm a Buddhist, so I went there and I'm just try to understand how people gamble and how it's such a I just feel that they don't need me here. So work a lot with try to lay out this beautiful landscape, the parking space, and all this thing. And I say, oh, I'm done with this. So I apply for GST. So I apply for GST with the hope that I want a different career path, and I want to find out here, like you guys right now, last semester. So I'm actually talked to my friends, my MLA2 friends, Patrick Curran. He's not here because after we found KDI together, he passed away from cancer. Life is so uncertain, so enjoy every bit of it. And so we designed as a 6 of us, Ellen, Jennifer, if you're seeing me, hi Jennifer, miss you. Shalina, hi Shalina. So we actually, as a young grad, getting funding from Niall, from the Pennywise Award, and go to Kibera to find, of course, we don't have the same dream, but we want to see what can we do as a landscape architect, rather than going back into the system. So I think it's a very courage, scary things to do, not applying for a job, but working for this. But eventually, I decided to go back home and left KDI. And I just feel that KDI still in all of us, 6 of us, in different ways. So I went back to Thailand and enhanced the dynamic of nature-based solution by putting people first. And this is the work that's dear to my heart, that I'm working parallel with all that tangible client. This for me is an intangible client because they don't pay you, but they will get impact directly from what you do. So it's a flooded canal community, the coastal community, the floodplain community. So as a land process, I feel that it's not enough business model to tackle the climate problem in my city, because we still left many people behind. So I create porous city network. I think that my landscape should be porous. It's not a sponge because it's a delta city. It couldn't absorb more water, so it have to put water to go through and keep it sometime. So we create this porous city network with these people, and we try to help them with the students, with the design. And I think Krong Tơi is actually, I feel like this is also the part of the work. I put it very close to my heart. So it's a tough work, and some of the work get done, but in a very, it's take a while. And this is like the coastal community. They are Thai, but they have no right to stay in Thai because they're built into the ocean. And it's illegal, but this is how all the fishermen village, 7,000 of them, do.
ถึงแม้จะต้องเทียบแต่ว่าในเรื่องพื้นที่ที่ต่อเนื่องในด่านชายแดนไม่เหมือนที่อื่นนะครับแค่เรามีพื้นที่ no man land.
This is next to Cambodia, so they have no land. And 100 years ago, government put them there because they want to define the territory with Cambodia so they don't fight us. So these people was put there and now will be displaced.
ถ้าเป็นลมอะครับที่หลังคาเสียหายวิถีชีวิตนะครับเรื่องอาชีพก็ได้รับผลกระทบจากกฎหมายอีกท่านนายกแล้วก็ทางผู้บริหารทางรัฐบวกกับพชเนี่ยจะได้นำสิ่งเหล่านี้ไปนำเสนอขับเคลื่อนเป็นนโยบายประเทศได้เพราะว่าที่นี่เป็นที่แรกของประเทศไทยการมีที่อยู่
So this is the first community that we're working with them to get the permit to find a solution with the government to stay. 7,000 fishermen villages. This is the first one to get the permit. And many of them are females. And we actually working with them for them to have a paperwork to negotiate with the government that if they stay here, they will replant the mangrove, and that can go to the carbon footprint and selling the carbon as well as the model of the climate change, and still keep their livelihood in that area. And the Thai government put this as a commitment to the United Nations at the UN World Habitat Day. So you might think that the award of designer might be a build project, but for this type of project, a very small win is actually a lot. Like, oops. Okay, great. So this is how we work with this community, and we also working with a lot of expert about the sea erosion, and this is the form of the research, and this is Dr. Thanawat, who we working together and with his research, because when you want to grow the mangrove, you have to stop the erosion, and this is his project, which students will go and visit, and we actually it's expensive. This is 50 million baht, just for this length. So we come up with this solution, apply this research with the community to come up with this structure that they can build themselves and be there, grow the plant, grow the mangrove for the governor, to the government, and help create a sustainable and live there harmoniously. So this is one project, and this is their permit. You see how happy they are that this has to be that big? Yes, they enlarge it, not that one, but yes. And this is a floodplain inland, which is, a lot of them are like that. Like they flood, okay, 400 million baht for dams. 400 million is a lot. It's like 10 million US. So they're gonna build the red one, and we just been put there, and we say, no, if you build, it's gonna flood more other people, your friend, your neighbor, and it's gonna flood yourself. How? This is how it works. This is your landscape that you used to go and say hi to your friends, catching fish. You're no longer doing that if you accept this 400 million baht. It's gonna flood both ways, because the flood is not only coming from the river, but it's coming from rain as well. So when people accept all this permission, they don't even know how does the solution look like. So this is the first time that they see oh my gosh, this is what we're gonna get. And this is the implementation in Indonesia that I'm trying to show them that, do you wanna look like this? And do you want the future of your generation to look like this? It's only flood for 5 or 10 days, but you're gonna live with this for 50 plus years. And this picture is actually come from New Orleans. It's actually not in Southeast Asia. So we don't want to be like you, I'm sorry. And this is Southeast Asia, and crazy people living there a lot and doing a wrong thing and trying to separate these two things. And I'm saying that there's no separation right now at the moment. There is no separation right now that, oh, this is an environmental problem. No, it's everything. This is about urban heritage. No, we are flood. We confronting the same issues. And this is the only way to be done in the city, the engineer solution. No, we need landscape architecture. And break the silo, please. And this is about not one generation, but intergenerational problems.
We are at the point of risking our life living in the city. Sawadee my name is Kotchakorn Voraakhom. I'm a landscape architect from Bangkok, Thailand. The Chulalongkorn Centenary Park, that was my first public park, and I feel so proud of this project. For Chula, we actually just incline the whole park. It's so simple that we call it gravity, and we're actually using the whole park to collect every drops of rain. When we change into Thammasat University project, we are using the same concept of gravity because it's the cheapest technology that we can find on Earth. But for Thammasat University rooftop, we're actually using the rice terraces to slow down the runoff, to really help to grow food. And my inspiration of my design and being a landscape architect is nature. And I think there is so much to learn. It's not only just the form and then the color and its beauty, but it's also its function. How can we mimic those kind of function to really be part of how we create our city? Bangkok is in ranking of one of the most at-risk city of climate change. And I just feel that we are fighting with water in many directions. The rain, the water from the north, the water from the ocean, the sea level rise. I think we're gonna sink. But we're gonna live with water again. We used to live with water, right? So this flooded canal community, they actually been most affected community during the Great Flood in 2011. Lad Pao Canal is one of the main canals that put all the runoff from the inner city of Bangkok into Chao Phraya River. I think they probably have to be in the flood water for like 2 to 3 months, the minimums during that time. Even the seasonal rain get their community to flood. So the governments have this policy to widening the canal so the flood water can flow through quickly and they have more capacity to actually contain more water. Yep. But that means the displacement of all the community. In the future, this will be dams and paved, and that area would be canal. คุณตาคะสวัสดีค่ะโอ้ใช่ They just moved in like 2 weeks ago. I really disagree with the dam structure that's going to pave all the canal in Bangkok. I think it's such a bad solution that going to create more problems for us, for the future of this city. But so much we can do, we cannot change the national policy. Right now, what we try to do is to help the community negotiate with the government to be displaced and then return back to their neighborhood. And for the Lad Pao Canal community, we actually succeed on doing that. You saw that compound, the new, before they live like this. So I'm graduated from Thailand. At that time, I just feel like I want to become a great landscape architect. That's my dream. So I push myself to get a job in the good firms, push myself to go into Harvard. And when I get things done, my checklist dreams, and I just feel like I'm still feel so empty. I'm lucky to confront with the Great Flood in 2011. And it really questioning myself, what can you do as a landscape architect? Being resilient is not about being in one stage. It's like you dance with nature. The floods used to be the source of food, the source of fertilization. The changing of the way we live as a city in these past 30 or 50 years, we completely turn our back to this natural change and call it disaster. We're working in something so doable, but I think we have to have more people advocate for this and create Bangkok the way we love, not Bangkok the way it is.
So I would like to end my presentation here with this cracking image, which is the things I remember when I was a child as my playground, how I play with my concrete playground and try to crack this piece of concrete for the plant to grow up. So I think that's the landscape architects is actually fulfilling my cracking ambitions. And I hope that I continue to crack more space in this big concrete in Bangkok, and I hope that you continue the same things. And thank you for being with me, sharing my 10+ year experience after GSD, and I hope to hear more from you. What will be your future adventure? Thank you.